some absolute value equations. So isolate the absolute value sign first. There is nothing outside of the absolute value sign on that side of the equation, so we go ahead and do our split. The first split, we just copied the equation down without the absolute value signs. N plus 7 equals 3. The other one, to get our second answer to this absolute value sign, to answer the distance problem here, we're going to set it equal to the opposite number of 3. It could either be 3 steps to the right or it could be 3 steps to the left from 0. So that'd be like a -3 if we're going on the left of the 0 on the number line. So that's our split. Again, to summarize, copy the equation once over here. Copy the equation again over here, but make this number or distance that the absolute value was set equal to opposite. Then from here, solve each respective equation. Subtract 7, we get n equals -4. Subtract 7, we get n equals -10. Boom. There is nothing outside of my absolute value sign on this side of the equation, so drop the absolute value sign. I'm going to take that negative, and I like to kind of put it up there with the n. So there's one equation that will give me the solution. I just dropped the absolute value signs. The other one, what do I have to do? I'll have -n divided by 4. I copy the left side of the absolute value side of the equation, but what am I going to set it equal to? -20, the opposite of whatever this is. So then just solve each one for n. Now this one's kind of difficult. What's being done to n here? Well, one thing that's being done to n is it's being divided by 4. So I'm going to have to multiply it by 4. But there's also this negative here. So if I just did this right now, I'd be left with -n, which there's nothing wrong with what I've done. But if I wanted to solve for n or get just n by itself a lot quicker, I could divide by, or I could multiply it by a negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So multiplying by 4 and dividing by 4 equal 1, and then a negative times a negative equals a positive 1. So I'm just left with n. Of course, I have to multiply this side by -4. So I get n equals -80. Boom. Over here, same idea. That's the cool thing about solving these. The process, the undoing steps are going to be the same. So multiply by -4, multiplied by -4. Here we get n equals +80. And if you plug in -80 and simplify this original equation, you get 20. If you plug in the other solution and simplify it, you also get 20 once you absolute value that. So that's the dealio. Give a couple of those a shot. Again, if you need to rewind and do the process slowly, just make sure on number 3 you use the numbers on number 3. It looks very similar to the process on number 1 though. Numbers 9 through 12 get a little more difficult. So before you start now, hopefully you're comfortable, you've checked your answers on 1 through 8, you're splitting things well. We can't split number 9 yet because we need to undo this thing outside of the absolute value sign first. So we get the absolute value of 5 plus 9x equals 76. Now the absolute value sign is isolated. There's nothing outside of it on that side of the equal sign. So now we do our copying, dropping the absolute value signs. We do 5 plus 9x equals 76, and we do 5 plus 9x equals -76. I'm going to solve the one on the right. So we get 9x equals -81. Divide by 9, divide by 9. X equals -9. And mentally, I'm going to plug that back in up there. -81 plus 5 is 76. Absolute value of that's -76. Absolute value of -76. 76 plus 5 is 81. Hey, it works! Good! Try this one out too. Plug it back in. You should get something that's equivalent as well. Boom, boom, boom. We'll do number 12. So just like all of these that you see on the screen here, notice there's something outside of the absolute value sign, so I need to undo that thing. So in this case, I'm adding 3 to each side. Now that we have our absolute value sign isolated, nothing is outside it on that side of the equal sign. Now we can do our split. So what's our split going to say? 5 plus 10v equals 5. And the other one would say 5 plus 10v equals -5. I'm going to do this one all the way across because I love this method where first just make sure you know what to undo first. We would undo adding 5 to the v. Now check this out. We can do that on both equations because if you answered the same question how you'd solve for v over here, it'd be the exact same thing. What's being done to v is the same on both of these, but what it's set equal to is different. So from here, I just got to be careful. -5 minus 5 is -10. Your number that it's getting set equal to, the expression it's getting set equal to, should be different on the left split versus the right split. Now divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10. One solution is 0. One solution is -1. 0 is a number. 0 can be a solution. How much money am I going to give you for doing this problem? $0. It's a number. It's a solution. And if you plug it back in, you should see that it works. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. Yeah.